Welcome to Elevated Life, Real Wellness and Transformation podcast, where we walk alongside the internally driven individual as they transform their life through wellness, movement, mindset, and personal responsibility. If that's you, you're in the right place. Let's jump in. We keep believing that violence will end violence and hate will end hate. It never has and it never will. It only multiplies on itself. As humans, we've already run this experiment over and over. Different eras, different flags, same outcome. At some point, ignorance stops being an excuse. We say we want peace. We say we want unity and love. But when fear gets activated, we start to blame, punish, dominate, and force. And then we act surprised when the world fractures further. Why do we still think that participating in hate will somehow produce love? Here's the hard truth. You cannot create a future using the same energy that destroyed the past. Violence doesn't resolve conflict. It suppresses it temporarily, then hands it to the next generation even stronger. What do you have to say, sir?
All right. All that being said, what's the thought behind this podcast? Because this is an interesting one.
It is.
Kind of a little bit outside of the norm of what we do.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It is. It's obviously from viewing the world, the 3D world in its current state. And it's fascinating to me that humanity is not learning that violence doesn't create peace, right? Like the energy of violence, the energy of hate, the energy of destruction does not create peace and love in the world. And it's fascinating to me that humanity can't see this pattern. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, do you think it's that they can't see it or they don't want to see it?
I think maybe it's a combination of two, because I don't like to speak in absolutes. Yeah, that's basically it. I think that, it's just mind-boggling to me at this point that we can think that, and the listener is like thinking, oh yes, those people who hate LGBT whatever, or the people that hate, the Black person, or no, I'm talking to the people that are hating Donald Trump too. I'm talking to the people that are hating ICE too. Hate creates more hate. That's just what it does. Now, does it justify the behavior? No, not at all. But we keep using the same energy to fight the energy that we say that we're against. And this is shocking to me. That's what, this is my heart song. Like, love creates love, guys. Mm-hmm. It's pretty much that simple. And yes, there's a lot of depth in that. I just think it's crazy that fighting violence with violence, you think that there's going to be peace.
Yeah, I don't know that people think there's going to be peace in general.
Maybe not.
Yeah, I think that's the misguided conception.
I guess that's my conception, because, this circles back to one of our first podcasts, where have all the hippies gone? Mm-hmm. They're gone. Or they're living on a different planet. And that's the planet that I'm from. Honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they're definitely gone in general. I don't know that there's a group of people anymore. And, I'd be curious. I'd be curious to really do, and maybe this is impossible without a time machine, because you always have lenses of history, whether it's the rose-colored lenses or the opposite of rose, the negative.
The smoke
black
weed?
over, but it's easy to think about that at some point that was more of a reality. I don't know if it really was,
I don't know either.
but at least it's you can conceptualize it like that at some level, but it's certainly not the case anymore.
No, it's not. And we talk about this all the time. When people believe that violence is the solution, it points to internally something going on, right? The lack of self-trust, unprocessed fear, unresolved grief. We've been talking about this kind of stuff for a year. And then it's projected outward. People don't, you know, they don't choose hate because it's logical. They choose it because it feels relieving, right? It relieves that internal angst. It gives you an identity. I'm right, you're wrong. I know who the enemy is. And also, which this is a huge thing, it's relief from helplessness. Because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, then what are we supposed to do?
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I
that
mean?
conversation a lot.
Many times. Like many times. I know there's atrocities. I know what's going on, but what am I supposed to do about it? But I'm definitely not going to retaliate with hate energy, violent energy, or dehumanizing my fellow man because they don't believe that the same way I do.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there's that.
Yeah, I think, a lot of this really highlights a couple things about the common person, I guess you could say, the average, generally speaking. I know you've already mentioned, we don't want to talk in absolutes and try to avoid hyperbole and all those things, but generally speaking, I think it highlights a couple things. I think it highlights the hypocrisy of humanity, and I think it highlights the narcissism of humanity.
Oh, for sure.
And when you have those two things, which obviously very often go together, I don't know. I think where you struggle with this whole concept, you meaning you, Jonna, is you definitely have an outside perspective on things, and it 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 colors the way, or it shapes the way you see the intentionality of people. And I really think, because you're talking about people using violence as a solution, I don't think the people that we're talking about here in general, I don't think they're looking for a solution. Solution is not, it's not even in their sphere of reference, because that means there's an end to their purpose. It's like the somebody that gets tasked with, well, we talked about medicine, so much on this podcast, and doctors and that kind of stuff. If they were truly doing what they were supposed to be doing, they would be working themselves out of business.
Yeah.
So the people that thrive on this, if they were truly looking for solutions, they would be working themselves out of business.
Yeah.
Right. So totally understand what you're saying. And I don't mean this to be, negative or denigrating.
No, I'm
Your
not saying
viewpoint is beautiful. I mean,
I just see what humanity can be.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why we're not working towards that, or why the people who say they want that but behave completely opposite of that is shocking to me.
Mhm.
Because violence doesn't resolve conflict. Like it only feeds it energetically. This is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. If you really want change, then quit with the keyboard warrior shit, just denigrating the person that doesn't agree with you. You say you love people. Oh, love everyone, but I fucking hate you because you, whatever orange guy, or you, whatever, you know, I don't even, yeah, I don't even care. It's so maddening to me, which is why I rarely come down to this low energy frequency. This is low frequency shit.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really want to do is try to get people to understand that there's a different way. There's a different way. And you cannot say, I love this person, but I don't love you because you don't agree with me, and say you're about love.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, because you're not. That's just end a podcast, boom. It's driving me crazy. It really is. And if hate and violence actually worked, then it would have worked by now. Right? We only see it growing. We've seen it grown, now I'm 49. I've seen it grown for the last 25 years insanely.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Just more hate, more violence, more. Everyone feeds into it. Everyone. And so there's this notion of like, okay, well, what are we supposed to do? Right? What are we supposed to do, Jonna? Because then there's this, if you're not doing anything, then you suck.
Mm-hmm.
You're just someone who's privileged, or your head is in the sand. And really, that's not factual. It's just, I am going to speak for myself. I'm not choosing to feed energetically into something that isn't love. I'm not going to do that. No, how do I live it every day? I'm kind and understanding to people who don't believe the same way that I do. I'm nice to people in all my interactions as much as I can be. I mean, I'm not perfect, but that's how I integrate what I speak into action.
Mm-hmm.
And so, can you, human listening, can you do this? Can you?
I mean, that's a great
I mean,
question.
I'm so, because I'm playing in 3D world right now, it just is fascinating to me that you can be so for loving the foreigner and the whatever, and then beat the shit out of a MAGA person, or be so loving to your fellow Christian and your fellow, you believe the same as me, and then tell someone who is gay that they're going to rot in fucking hell. And I don't understand it. This is double speak, and it's really making me angry. I'm getting angry.
Yeah.
I don't like to get angry, but sometimes you got to get angry.
Okay, so then let's keep moving forward with this. When you get angry, what are you supposed to do? Because I will speak for me and just what our society has told me for the last several years, me as a middle-aged white male, because everything is about race and everything is about sex now. Everything. So if we play into that, because that's the world that you've come down to.
Yeah.
That's the 3D world that most people live in. And so because we like to give tools and we like to talk about actionable things, let's talk about that a little bit of, for you all listening that are there, still living in this 3D reality, but trying, really genuinely trying. And then you're met with the things that whatever side, wherever it's coming from, that are the you're supposed to love everybody, but I hate you because of whatever. And oftentimes stuff you can't even control. And then you get that anger. John, of that anger that you just had talking about it, what do you do? What's the actionable step that you can take to actually do something with that?
Well, I think that it's your everyday life and how you behave. Okay, yes, I just got angry, but I also am not going to act out in the population because there's always collateral damage when you freak out. I'm going to sit with that because we all know that your triggers are your wounds, right? So I'm going to sit with that. That's basically what I'm going to do. And I'm going to work on myself. How do I behave in everyday life where it matters? How can I become more loving to people that are deemed unlovable? And I know that this is a reach. And I know that most people aren't going to participate in this. And so violence begets violence, and hate begets hate. And don't be fucking surprised when the planet burns because of it. I mean, that's pretty much, if you want to know what to do, go inward. I mean, that's just like something that I can't scream any louder. You have to go inward. You have to control what you can control, which is your life currently, what you're doing, how you're treating people, how you're reacting on the intranet to false narratives or not, right? Because on the right, everything that's said on the right is 100% gospel truth. It hasn't been doctored, it hasn't been alternated. AI hasn't touched it and started lies. No, 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 that's all facts. Same with the other side. Okay, this is the 100% truth, blah, 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 blah. Y'all are just pawns in the game of division in this participation. It's true. If you really want to fight the system, love yourself, love others, grow your own food, become not reliant on the healthcare system, find God on your own terms, be your own savior. Like, seriously. It's everything that we've talked about on every podcast from the genesis of elevated life, real wellness and transformation.
Mm-hmm.
And walk it out. It's time for integration. It's not time to have these theories floating around all the time and then not actually walk it out. It's time to walk. It is. Or burn your world down. That's what you're going to do. But there's a whole host of people who are done playing this and done being manipulated into thinking that, oh, if you stay silent, you're just a pacifist and you don't fucking care. And that's wrong. We, the people who are living love as best as they humanly can, are the real world changers. That's who's changing the world, not the people who are spewing all of the hate, violent energy out into their whoever they're hating. They're not changing the world. They're burning it down. They're creating this chaos. Every time I see someone say, oh, fuck this person, blah, 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 online or whatever, I just think it's so sad because they're building the energy of hate and violence. It's like feeding a parasite. You are feeding a parasite. That's what you're doing. The best way to kill the parasite is to cut off the food source. And if parasites and narcissists and all the people, whatever, live off of getting you angry and fear and violence and hate, then it is your job to cut that off.
Or understand you're part of the parasite.
Totally. You are.
You're you're not just feeding the parasite. Because I mean, I totally agree with that, but you're not just feeding the parasite, you are the parasite.
Yeah, you're a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what you are. And I know that I know people are pissed off right now about this. Okay. And I get it. And you can direct that towards me if you want, but just so you know, I'm divinely protected and it will not penetrate me. So you cannot send me any kind of garbage. It's just the facts. You're laughing at me, but it's just the facts.
I'm not laughing at you.
I just want to challenge humanity in this podcast to try what you haven't tried before, which is love and understanding for all. It's super easy to love people who agree with you. That is emotional immaturity. It just is. I'm only going to love you if you agree with me. Can you love and create space for people who don't agree with you? Can you?
And who don't love you back.
Yeah. Can you do that? All you people who are fuck ICE people, and I'm not saying ICE is righteous, but how about switch the tactic and send love and compassion? How about that? See what happens when you send that energetically to the hearts of people in ICE.
Hey friends, if you're getting something out of this, connect with us on our social media platforms. We're at CJ Elevated Life _ on Instagram and TikTok, and CJ Elevated Life on Facebook and X. We're answering DMs, sharing daily content, and building community with people ready for real transformation. For now, hit subscribe wherever you're listening, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. We drop 2 new episodes every week. And if this episode resonates, share it. That's how we reach more people who are ready for change. You can also find everything at cjelevatedlife.com. All right, let's keep going.
Yeah, and just to reiterate something that John was already talking about, if you're doing that with the expectation or with the hesitation, I guess, of, well, they're doing bad things and they're not going to love me back, so why should I send them love? Why should I approach them with compassion and positive feelings? Then you've got a lot of inner work to do.
Yeah, hate begets hate.
But if you, I guess my point is, if you are sending out positive vibes, if you are loving other people for the response that they will love me, and if they don't love me, I can't love them, then you're missing the picture.
Yeah.
Then you still have a lot of inner work to do.
Well, it's just conditional love, right? Everyone talks about unconditional love. Let's unpack that word. Love without conditions. There it is. So if you are someone who has conditions for your love, then there you go. That's what you are. But unconditional love is loving the unlovable. That's just what it is. And, I hate to like do the whole side thing, but this is on all sides. It's so sickening. It's disgusting to me, which is why I don't touch down. That's why I float up in my la la land world that I love, where people are loving and kind and supportive and compassionate. And I see people for their potential. That's how I see the world. It's not pie in the sky. It's not fake. It took a lot to get to this point. But I just want to tell you, listener, that it's really peaceful and lovely up here. It really is. And I want you to join because it is so just icky swimming around in the filth and feeding it, and then expecting a different result, right? We go protest and do all the things and try to stop the atrocities, and more people die, and more sadness and more hate, and more the parasite gets fed more and more. What if we all stayed home and loved each other? And yes, there's going to be collateral damage. Sorry, I'm not trying to cut you off, but there is. Go ahead.
What do you mean by that?
I just mean like, okay, Johnny, you just want us to all sit at home and not protest, and then whatever's going to happen to, okay, we're talking about ICE specifically. They're just going to go hunt people down. And what are you going to do about it? Like that's where the world is right now. And maybe if we don't feed them more hate, then their heart doesn't explode with hate and maybe they can see more clearly. It's all energy, guys. It's all energy. And I know this sounds woo to some people and they're just like, oh my gosh, this stupidest thing. Cool. Not for you. You're not there yet. Live in what you're living in. But this is what actually changes the world. Go ahead, sir. You're like, you can talk today.
Oh, yeah. Just trying to think about it on a different plane,
On a more logical
than you're on. That might, if what John is saying resonates, then spectacular. You are well on your way. I don't know where to. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know
It's
either.
not a destination, but you've clearly either consciously or subconsciously, made changes or developed that part of you that can do those things, which is spectacular. If you're struggling with it more, I think one of the, I like to speak in analogies. And to bring it back to more of just like the fitness and nutrition and that, more grounded wellness stuff that we talk about. One of the things that we hear all the time is, what's the trick to drink water? I don't like water. How can I get around that, drinking water? Like, well, you fucking can't. Your body needs water. You just have to do it. It doesn't matter if you don't like it somehow. I don't understand that one, but maybe you need to filter your water. But anyway, we're not on a water diatribe here. My point with that is, how do I, what's the hack for what we're talking about now as far as loving people? When they don't love me back, when they're doing the wrong thing in my mind. And it really boils down to, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no hack. There's no, I guess here's the hack. Do it for yourself.
Yeah.
First. So if you're finding yourself being in a position where it's like, fuck those protesters, fuck those ICE agents. Right? Because again, that's what we're talking about now. But understand, that could be people wearing masks, advocating for lockdown versus people not wearing masks and, wanting an open, or, go take anything in recent or long history, and if there's two sides, which there generally are, two crazy sides, and somewhere in the middle is the reality. But if you're finding yourself, being like, I can't stand that person because, they're on the other side. Ask yourself why. Or if it's like, I feel like I need to go protest. I need to post something online. Again, protesting whatever you're going to protest because the other thing is bad. Ask yourself why.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? What am I looking for out of this? Do I really feel like whatever I'm about to say or do, is that going to bring better circumstances to the situation? And if it's not, then you really got to look into yourself and say, okay, why am I doing that?
Yeah, I agree.
And if you can't answer those questions, you have you shouldn't be concerning yourself with the actions of outside influences or external anything, because there's so much you got to do inside first.
Yeah. I mean, talk about just living in reaction all of the time because of other people. It's such a victim consciousness, and I just can't get behind it anymore. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if humanity is wired for the peace that I'm talking about. They don't know it. They don't know how. They say we'll just say they. I don't know who they are. You say you want peace. You say you want love. You say, but you don't act. You don't act that way to the people that don't agree with you or that you view as unloving. And so I just think that honestly, humanity is so dysregulated in their central nervous system. They don't know, they are not wired for peace. They are wired for chaos. They like it. It feeds them. They like to look on the internet and see how the orange man has just done us wrong again and then spew a bunch of hate towards him. And then you feed him, just so you know, because everyone knows, how do you cut off a narcissist? You go silent.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do. So how come you are not doing that? I don't get it. Like he loves it, just so you know. And I'm nothing politically. Okay. It goes for any politician. It goes for any human. You're feeding it again. And I just don't think that humanity is, the bulk of humanity even wants peace and love based on action. They don't. They say they do, but they're addicted to the chaos. And that is an inside job. If you want to heal that addiction, you got to look inward.
Yeah. So let's unpack that a little bit more. With the idea being this: when you are asking yourself those questions, why am I doing this? A very valid answer could be, I'm trying to be part of a solution. Mm-hmm. You could think that. Like, yeah. I'm trying to make a difference. I'm trying to do something the right way. And, I have to fight violence with violence to try to get to a greater good. Right. That's a very, it doesn't.
But you just like violence, greater good.
Let me talk. That is the way that people think. We've established for 30 minutes that's the way people think. So it is a way that people listening to this might think. Right? So if that's where you're ending up, then a question that you can ask yourself is, think about your own life, whatever it may be, and times where people have influenced you. And you've taken some knowledge, or some, you've developed a skill, or whatever, you've grown in some way from someone else doing something. And then ask yourself, what was that? How did that person connect with you? Were they yelling and screaming and telling you you're a fucking idiot because you think a certain way, or you can't do this action, or you don't believe this certain thing, and yelling and screaming and saying, you're going to burn in hell, or, you're the worst Nazi ever, or whatever. And then you're like, oh yeah, they're making really good points. I should go ahead and change everything. Or were those people typically loving and compassionate and caring, and they had patience with you, and they connected with you on that level, even if it was they were teaching you something that was, obviously you didn't know it, or a skill that you didn't have. The people that are able to connect with you, typically, there are exceptions, I'm sure, but typically speaking, if you ask the average person, tell me about the people who have personally impacted your life. there isn't going to be a lot of, oh, that asshole, I loved everything they said to me.
Yeah.
Typically it's going to be, I connected with them because they had compassion for me, and now we have a connection, and now I was able to listen and learn and maybe completely change my mind, because that's perfectly fine. If you change your mind, that's amazing. That's growth. But how often are you changing your mind because somebody yelled and screamed and called you names? So then if you're taking that approach to try to change someone else's behavior or someone else's mind, why do you think it would work then if it hasn't worked on you?
Right.
So that's the logical side of it.
Yeah.
When you can really ask yourself those questions and be honest with yourself. I think that's a one avenue. Because we like to give a lot of different approaches, because people see things different and think things different and need to approach things different.
Yeah.
So maybe that makes more sense to you.
Yeah.
Not just you should love people because you love them, but how has it worked out for you going the other way when you're on the receiving end of it?
Absolutely. I think that, if you truly want a peaceful world, you need to be willing to practice peace where it costs you something, meaning you have to grow. Your outrage, your certainty, your need to dominate, and your need to be right. You don't change the world by defeating people. You change it by ending cycles. And that starts with the individual. It just does. So, personal responsibility, um, that's just that's what it is. That's what we talk about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a broken record, but everything points inwardly. And so, a good question to ask yourself is, where in my life am I feeding the very energy, the very parasite that I claim to be against? That's it. Where am I feeding it? I think that you can start there. That's where you can start.
And understand, it's just like with all the other things we talked about, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah.
It's going to be the process of healing yourself is just so overwhelming at times. It's so deep, and this is part of it. So it's not just going to be, well, I shouldn't say it's not, because maybe it is. Maybe it's just, I asked myself that question one time, it's like, oh fuck, what am I doing? Hey,
Yeah.
boom.
Everyone's different.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
But be prepared, I would say, to really have to dig within yourself.
And it's going to be hard because, you're going to have to be less reactionary. Not everything needs a reaction. Not everything deserves amplification. That's how you feed the parasite, right? So it's going to be a lot of self-control, which is a concept that has been completely tossed out of the room.
Mm-hmm.
Self-control,
Mm-hmm.
right? Sit with yourself. Don't react. Not everything needs a voice.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. Like, calm the fuck down.
Yeah.
It's just the nice way of saying, shut up.
Mm-hmm. Because another way to look at that is, again, if if you're going sidesies and you're saying, well, the other side is saying all this dumb shit, and so we need to combat it. Like, what do you think you're becoming?
Yeah. The same thing.
If you're doing the same thing as the other side, you are the other side.
It's so true.
And how effective are they? Because across the board, on any one side, like I've already said, they're going to say, well, the people on the other side don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They have no clue. They have no concept of reality, of life, of anything. They don't care about anything. And then the other side is saying the exact same shit. So as soon as you start participating in that, then you are the problem. You are the parasite.
Yeah, you're feeding it. And none of this is working, guys. This is why, I wanted to sit down and talk about this. Is because it's not working. Are things getting better? Like, are they? And one side would say, yes, it is for me. And then another side would say, no, it's not. But generally, overall, can you just fucking ditch your side and go, is the world a better place? No, it's not. If you're being super honest, this 3D world is not getting better. It's becoming more unloving, more unkind, more judgmental, more all the things. And if you're participating in it on either side, you're part of the problem. And I want to encourage you in love, because I love you. Every single listener, every single person that is hearing my voice, I love you. And it's exhausting to live in the chaos that hate and violence are creating. It just is, on both sides. Aren't you guys tired? I mean, turn off the news. The best thing I ever did was turn off the news. It's exhausting. It's hurtful. And it's created for division. That's the goal, is to divide you and to keep you in this dysregulated state and to keep you from not turning within. So let's do something different.
The cool thing in my mind, because I mean it's pretty well documented, the differences between the way I think and the way you Jonah thinks, you think, looking at you, ma'am.
Yes, I know.
But the cool thing for me, or the thing, really the step forward after you've understood and you've looked within and done all those things, done the stuff that we've been talking about for 40 minutes now. There are ways you can move forward tactically, let's say, because when we think of loving everybody and that those kind of big concepts, like that's fantastic, but what about tax policy? What about how are our roads getting fixed?
I just felt my frequency go.
But those are realities
I know,
of
you're
life. And so, and the people that aren't interested and don't want to be in that at all, don't be. I'm not advocating everybody has an opinion on everything, but some people have to live in the world of how do we function as a society?
Right. Because that's their calling.
Yeah. And it's just we can't live on a hippie commune in the sky right now because it takes everybody and we're not there. So if you are a person that still wants to participate in the machinations of society without falling into the swamp, to the shit, there are ways to do it still with compassion. It's still understand your point of view, understand your philosophy, and be able to articulate it not in a condescending way.
Yeah. Dehumanizing way.
And not in a way that I'm right because you're wrong.
Right.
That's so much of what that discourse is now. It isn't even, I'm going to advocate for more taxes on the wealthy. And here's why. Because this is what I believe. I genuinely think, we can do these good things with it and we can trust the government to, or whatever entity And, another person's like, I think we should lower taxes because, I think individuals can, they're both positions that articulate why they want to be what they are because of their own thing. Now it's, I think we should do this because you're wrong. And so there's no validity of your own value structure. You create all of your value structure based on someone else being wrong.
Yeah.
And if you are, wanting to be on city council or on the school board, because people do need to be in those positions to
Yeah.
help.
And there are people who are called to do that.
Yeah,
I am clearly not.
Right. Yes. And some people are. I think the unsolicited advice that I would give is really be able to, number one, understand why you have the positions that you have. Block everything else out. Look internally. I believe XYZ, whatever, in whatever position I'm in, because of these things.
Yeah.
Because this is why I firmly believe it. And then be able to articulate that. So really digest it, be able to articulate it, and then always fall back on that. Always fall back on, I think things should be a certain way because of whatever.
And then smother it all with love.
Of course. And then
Always.
always, because that's where it should always be coming from.
Yeah.
That's why I have
Otherwise, it's coming from ego.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so you can do that across the board. You don't have to be in a position of government or leadership, or anytime you're having conversation with other people, come at it that way and then receive whatever they're saying the same way.
Yeah. With love.
Yeah. Even if they're not presenting it
Yeah.
with love, receive it that way. And then you can process it that way. And then you can continue to grow in whatever your thoughts and feelings and opinions and just across the board, all that stuff. You can continue to grow because you're not resisting, you're not meeting anger with anger.
Yeah.
You're meeting anger with love. And then, because, again, it's not always, but a lot of times the people that you're in that conflict with, they have valid information as well.
Yes.
They have valid feelings and thoughts. They might not be able to articulate it because it's still just so, full of anger or fear or whatever those negative emotions are. I shouldn't say negative, but that side.
Emotions.
But when you can receive it in a way that it's just information.
That takes emotional intelligence.
It does.
Unfortunately, a huge swath of the population does not navigate from that space.
But the cool thing is you can.
Yeah.
You don't need someone to present themselves that way for you to receive that way.
That's called integration. That's how you walk it out.
Yeah.
Right there. All these little lofty wellness mindset things. That's how you walk it out right there. All right. Are we done here, sir?
Are we ever done?
No, that's why this podcast keeps going, is because we're never done. Thank you so much, listener, for listening. We hope that this is very helpful for you. And we want to challenge you to walk in love. And remember that peace begets peace, love begets love, but that's the same with hate and violence. And so love conquers all. It just does. It never fails. And I have proven this to myself in my life my entire 49 years. And every time I chose love, it was amazing. And I want to encourage you, just baby steps. Baby steps. You don't have to go out and just, do all the things at once, right? Just start with maybe not responding online to someone's what you would consider foolishness.
And see how you feel.
Yeah. Right? Redirect that energy.
Or do push-ups.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Or just transmute that energy into love. You can shift energy. Shapeshifter. Okay. Thank you for listening. Have a lovely day.
We'll talk to you soon.